So are you doing it or not? Can I go forward?
Sir, doing it.
Okay, okay. Please, please. Thank you, madam. Okay, those are doing, it's good. Look at that area of evaluation, the accuracy and the knowledge in the area of assignment and the submissions and the legibility and then maintenance of homework, copy and then indexing and then signature of parents, which is to be maintained. If at all, see, if it is more than required, you can eliminate as per your, now, level 1, if less than 1/3 of the work is completed, that is about completion. Accuracy, not even one is correct. And about knowledge, response shows that complete lack of understanding the problem, whatever you give. Submissions does not submit the homework copy at all. And legibility, writing is not legible. That means not you cannot able to understand what he or she writes there. Then maintenance of homework copy, neither cover or not labeling is done. So look at that. That means assignment, how best you are giving, how best you are judging, how best students are responding. Everything is covered over here. You can see their attitude, behavior, skill, knowledge, content, whatnot. Everything is covered here. This case study about assignment will tell how we can able to evaluate, how we can able to assess, how we can able to judge. So once you judge like this, tell me which student will come and question you. If you put all these things beforehand, we have to tell all this, what do you call, all these things beforehand to the student, not at the end. Before giving assignment, you tell, this is what I'm going to look into. Hence, accordingly, you have to submit. Give the date, submission date of based on the most of the students' interest, not your interest. Give 15 days time, 20 days time, or 1 month time. What is there? If they're ready to submit, give 1 month time. Frame the questions accordingly. My suggestion here is, can I give my suggestion here, sir? Last 5 minutes, can I give? See, those are from teachers from engineering or management. Normally, our syllabus states for two prescribed textbooks, 2 reference textbooks. Normally, in Andhra Pradesh syllabus, normally as a board of studies chairman, I used to advocate 2 textbooks, 2 reference books normally. But now the question to all: how many of you, or how many of us, including me, can able to read all 4 books of a respective course in a given semester for teaching? Impossibly not. At least 1 prescribed or 1 reference is more than enough. Normally, if it is a 2, 3, 4 times, if you teach, maybe you may refer maybe 4 books. Fine. In that case, how do you give assignments for the students? My suggestion would be, give assignments from the exercise of respective chapters of all 4 books, dividing the 60 students into 4 groups or 5 groups based on the textbooks, and 10 students 1 book, 10 students another book, 10 like that. If you share and then if you ask them to spend time in the library, what happens? No, students will copy. Fine, those 10 people only will copy. Let them copy, no issue. What will be the beneficial thing? These 4 books will be read by all 60 students. Then the second assignment will be interchange that. Then you can create 4 assignments in a given semester, so that every student will read those 4 books, at least to some extent. Instead of by hearting some nonsense thing, instead of going for substantive textbooks, please advocate this kind of methodology, this kind of procedure, in order to help the student in a better way, in order to help the student for better understanding, better application, better analysis. So Bloom's taxonomy levels can be achieved at least up to level 3, level 4 to the maximum possible extent. Hope and wish all of you will agree. Any comments on this? No comments? Right. So, this is about Bloom's taxonomy, describing, analyzing, interpreting, evaluating. So how best we can able to put student will write 500 words about the words and then the accuracies and then interpretations, etc. Then participation rubric, collaborative, scholarly, and then timely, and then whether it is good or not. So merits and demerits, which will provide useful feedback, can be weighted to reflect relative importance. Then drawbacks, takes more time for creation, yes. And unless each point for each criteria is well defined, raters may not arrive at the same score. Raters means routers, that means rote learning, those who by heart, those who copy, those who go for shortcut methods, they cannot score good. So you can easily eliminate those kind of students. So accordingly, the holistic rubric having its own merits and demerits, that's what already discussed. So this is the holistic rubric about demonstration, and then this is how holistic rubric can be designed for weak and proficient and then acceptable and exemplary and unacceptable. The levels can be created by you. So where the ABET, this is from ABET. ABET means Accreditation Board of Engineering and Technology in USA. So they are putting this kind of holistic rubric as a sample in their website. That's the reason I have downloaded, and then I'm showing, because that's a standard one, because NBA follows what ABET says. So accordingly, those who wants to learn further, please refer ABET website. Then accordingly, you can able to have this kind of things, and then whether it's excellent, that is 50% or more, they say excellent. Adequate, 45% or more, they say adequate. Inadequate, 0% or more, they say inadequate. The superior, 75% or more, they say superior, unlike our Indian standards. So the merits and demerits for holistic rubric does not provide specific feedback. The student work is at varying levels. They cannot give anything, and criteria cannot be weighted. So the holistic rubric is not suitable for certain things, but suitable for the creativity things, and then can save number of decisions, and then it can be applied consistently by trained writers, increasing reliability. So finally, as per time, I think I'm following the time. As I said in the beginning, we have to start in time and have to close in time as well. So for teachers, for students, advantages of rubrics. For teachers, the evaluation, assessment, more objective and consistent among all the students. For students, they define quality. Quality students only will come out. Then teachers, it will clarify criteria in specific terms. And for students, awareness will be good, and then assessing will be good. And then feedback for teachers about instructions and all will come automatically. And for students, they can judge and revise their own work before handing their assignment. That's important. That's what I said, self-motivation, self-learning, self-involvement automatically will be increased with the rubric assessment tool for the students. Similarly, for teachers, that will give a lot of satisfaction once whatever hard work he or she does in assessing the student. So provide benchmarks to measure and document the progress, and then it will show the student how their work will be evaluated and what is expected from them by the teacher. So both the cases, this tool is helpful for both teachers and students. And I can say this is the best way to judge, rather to assess the student, not judging, assessing the student. So still some samples are there from ABET. They're all the samples. So don't say, I cannot remember whatever is said at the end, right? So with this note, I'll stop sharing. So any questions? I'd love to answer. If not, okay, maybe it's lunchtime for all of us. Maybe we can disperse for lunch.
Yes, sir. Dear all, we have come to an end of the forenoon session now. I take this opportunity to thank the resource person, Dr. Kota Chandrabhushan Rao, on behalf of the management, organizers and participants of this FDP for his informative session on building rubrics and the basics of it. Its purpose, he has also made us clear about the difference that exists between holistic and analytics rubrics, its characteristics, particularly the choco cookie method. Sir, we are also looking forward to have more inputs from you on the construct and measurement of rubrics on 24th of November. Thank you, sir, once again for gracing this occasion with your valuable insights. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dear participants, the post-lunch session will commence by sharp 2:15. You're all requested to log in into the meeting at least 5 minutes before the session. Thank you once again. Thank you all.